In this session, let's talk about the flexibility of arguments in a JS function, and which is a very interesting thing because if you are coming from Java or C++ or C# background where the number of arguments from a method or a function are very important. When we call a method with more or less number of arguments, it doesn't work, but JavaScript is very much flexible in that sense. And what I mean to say by that is, let's quickly create a function. Let's say function ABC, just for example, has two arguments, say num1 and num2. And what does this function do is it simply prints the value of the arguments of the function. So it will just accept the arguments from the user and then just print the values of those two arguments in the console. Okay, so normally when we call this function, we'll do ABC and then we'll provide the values of the arguments, so something like 10 and 20. Now when we execute this, normally we'll see 10 and 20 in the output, which is a straightforward scenario. Now let's say if I do not provide the second value here, is it allowed? Yes, it is allowed in JS. It's not going to throw any compilation error or any kind of error of that sort. All it is going to do is it's going to accept the value of 10, which is the first value that we are providing over here in the arguments, as num1, and then the second value, as we are not providing anything, it will treat it as undefined. So when we rerun this, we can see the first value as 10 and second value, it is automatically taking it as undefined. So it is very much flexible in JavaScript that the number of arguments in a function, we can provide less or more, even more. So for example, if I do something like 10, 20 and 30, yes, it is also allowed. It is very different from the other languages if you have the background of Java or C#. In this case, even if we call a function with 3 arguments here, it is still going to call the same function. It's not going to throw any error, but all it is going to do is it's just going to ignore, in a way ignore, this third argument. Actually, this third argument also will come into picture, which we'll see it in the advanced part. For now, we'll just say that it'll ignore it. So when we see the output, it's going to print num1, num2, and it's kind of ignoring. Okay, it's not actually ignoring. We'll see that in the later part, as I said before. But over here we can see it is still accepting this as a valid function call. That is very important. So in terms of number of arguments what we provide to a JavaScript function, it is very, very flexible. We can provide less number of arguments or we can provide more number of arguments. If we provide less, then it will simply treat the other arguments which we are not providing as undefined, and if we are providing more arguments, then it will simply ignore them. Okay, as simple as that.